The Cleveland Browns will beat the Washington Commanders on Sunday. The Cleveland Browns will beat the Washington Commanders on Sunday. The Cleveland Browns will beat the Washington Commanders on Sunday. Oh, hey, yeah, hopefully we beat the Commanders. Hey guys, Oliver here, aka UK Browns NFL. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to any new listeners. Today I am going to be doing the Browns versus Commanders game preview for the Week 5 matchup. So this is a 6 p.m. game in the UK, 1 p.m. over in Eastern Time in the States. We'll be in Washington this game, so another away game for the Browns. Big game. The Browns looking to avoid falling to 1-4 against a very informed Commanders offense. And I mean, I think us as Browns fans would all admit it would be pretty inconceivable to go 1-4 over these first 5 games, the first 5 games of the season that we all thought, you know, they could maybe come out 5-0, 4-1, arguably the easiest stretch of the schedule. So for them to go, you know, potentially to fall to 1-4 over that stretch would be inconceivable and you know, almost impossible to come back from. The Commanders have won 3 in a row after losing in their opening game in Week 1, and they have scored 38 points. Plus 38 points in their previous 2 games. Jayden Daniels is currently the clear Offensive Rookie of the Year frontrunner, and is completing 82% of his passes, which is the highest completion percentage through the first 4 games of the season in NFL history. I know, crazy. The other people on that list, I think, was Tom Brady and Drew Brees. This isn't, and Geno Smith, shout out to him with his season a couple of years ago. And this isn't rookie Brady or rookie Drew Brees. This is 2007 Brady. That he's even higher than him. So incredible start to Jayden Daniels' career. So, you know, the Browns defense that has been slightly below expectations so far this year, they certainly have their work cut out for them. Fortunately for the Browns, the Commanders defense has statistically been towards the bottom of the league so far this season, ranking 25th in scoring defense and 26th in total yards. Unfortunately for the Browns, their offense has been dreadful so far this season, to put it lightly, ranking 31st in total yards, and they are the only team in the NFL that is yet to put up 20 points in a game. So not the great showing from this offense so far. And I mean, the vibes are certainly low at the minute in the Browns camp, in the Browns, you know, all around the team, surrounding the team on social media, the fandom and everything. You know, the vibes are certainly down. But hey, you're only 2 games back from the division, and none of the teams currently holding a wildcard spot have a winning record so far this season. So, you know, as bad as this start has been, the season is well and truly still alive, and that starts with getting a win tomorrow. Injury report for this game. So I will just quickly read through the injury report. So on the Browns side, Nick Chubb, unfortunately, is out for this game as expected. I don't think any of us thought he was going to play this week. Positive signs were that he did practice all week in a limited capacity, but they just don't feel comfortable that he's ready to go this week. Jack Conklin has been ruled as questionable after practicing Thursday and Friday in limited capacity. And Michael Dunn is also been listed questionable with limited practices all week. Myles Garrett obviously didn't practice on Wednesday, practiced Thursday and Friday. He is good to go. Jordan Hicks, unfortunately, I mentioned last week in the review that he got hurt against the Raiders and came out of the game, and we hadn't seen much from that. Unfortunately, that injury will cause him to miss this game. He didn't practice this week and has been ruled out. Naheem Hines, unfortunately, not quite ready. Obviously returned off the PUP list. Had limited practice all week, same as Chubb, but I think they're just playing precaution on that, giving him another week before they bring him back. James Hudson has gone on to IR. with his shoulder injury that he apparently did in the Giants game, played through, re-aggravated. I'm not going to start on this training staff and the questionable decisions they've made, but he is out. Not the biggest loss in the world, if we're being totally honest. I think there's only 2 players in the NFL this year with a lower pass block grade than Hudson, so not the biggest loss, but again, it's always a shame to see any of your guys out. David Njoku, back from his high ankle sprain. He practiced Wednesday, didn't practice Thursday, but then practiced Friday. So I'm assuming he was obviously a little bit sore after Wednesday's practice. He is limited. He is listed as questionable. Whether or not he plays, I probably lean towards the side that he doesn't, but we'll wait and see. Pierre Strong, again, listed as questionable. Jed Wills has been listed as questionable, so both him and Conklin are questionable for this game. Hopefully we can get one of, if not both of them back. And Alex Wright, as I'm sure most of you know now, unfortunately has been added onto season-ending IR with a tricep injury that I believe he suffered, was that the Giants game as well, and then re-aggravated. So again, you can make the argument, is this training staff doing the best job that they can with these players that seem to be playing through injuries and then re-aggravating them? So that's on the Browns side. On the Commanders side, Noah Brown, wide receiver, is out with a groin injury. Austin Eckler, who is cleared concussion protocol, he is set to play this game. Defensive end Colin Farrell with a knee injury is out for this game. Jordan McGee, linebacker, is doubtful for this game. Marcus Mariota, their backup quarterback, is questionable for this game. Obada, the D lineman, is doubtful. And Owens, the safety, is questionable. And the biggest one is Brian Robinson is questionable for this game. He did not practice Wednesday. He did not practice Thursday. He practiced in a limited capacity on Friday and has been listed as questionable. I'm not one to wish injuries on the other team. I want to play teams at full strength. Of course you do. But it's, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that would be a bonus for the Browns if the Commanders were without Brian Robinson. So that's the injury report heading into this game. As I said, Nick Chubb, I think, is the one that we all kind of had our eye on the most. He did practice this weekend, but as expected, he's not ready to suit up. And, hopefully he gets another full week of practice. And maybe we see him out there against the Eagles game. But to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they take extra caution and hold him out the next 2 games and bring him back for the Bengals game in week 7. And then obviously with the O-line, Jed Wills and Conklin both questionable. Hopefully they can both come back and we can get this O-line finally somewhat healthy, which is obviously a big need for us. So as I do every week for these reviews, I am going to give my 3 keys to victory, 3 things that I think the Browns need to focus on the most this week in order to get the victory. So my first key to victory this week against the Commanders is limit the Commanders' ground game and their red zone offense. The Commanders are currently 3rd in the NFL in rushing yards, and they have the most rushing touchdowns in the NFL. Jaden Daniels has been great. He's been fantastic, to say the least, so far this season. But he does only have 3 passing touchdowns. They are finishing off most of their drives, most of their red zone trips with rushing touchdowns. Daniels has contributed massively to that rush attack with over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground through his first 4 games. Brian Robinson has 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in this rush attack, which is obviously important when you realise that he might not be playing. And then obviously Austin Eckler and Nichols have both added another 3 rushing touchdowns between them to take the Commanders' tally to 10 rushing touchdowns in 4 games, which, as I said, leads the league. The Browns need to bounce back. They need a big bounce back game from their run defense, which is currently ranked 20th in the NFL and was so poor last week that they gave up 6 10-plus yard runs against a Raiders team that had the 32nd ranked rushing offense headed into that game. So inexcusable performance out of the Browns run game last week. They really need to get that back on track this week. They have to get better in defending the run as a whole. The D-line has been getting gashed. They're giving up pretty big running lanes through the first 4 weeks, and that needs to be shored up. But as I mentioned in the injury report, there is some potential good news for this Browns run defense. As I mentioned, obviously the Commanders' best running back this year has been Brian Robinson. He has been dealing with a knee injury this week. He only managed one limited practice on Friday before being listed as questionable. So if he is out, that is a big break for the Browns. He has contributed nearly half of the Commanders' total rushing yards so far this year, and has contributed 40% of their rushing touchdowns. But obviously, this Browns defense still needs to lock in whether or not Brian Robinson plays or not. They've still got Jaden Daniels. They've still got Austin Eckler. But obviously, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that, Robinson potentially not playing would be a big boost to this Browns defense. So my second key to victory this week is a collaborative effort on offense. Something we haven't got yet this season in any of the 4 games. Watson last week had the second highest PFF grade among all quarterbacks in week 4. So there is signs of improvement from the quarterback play. But the biggest problem, in my opinion, with this offense so far this season is the lack of consistent, collaboration between the whole offense as a whole. It just seems that if Watson plays well, then the O-line and the wide receivers play bad. If Watson plays bad, the wide receivers might play well that game. It just doesn't seem like they can all get on the same page and all play a good game as a cohesive unit. This week has to be the week that we get a more collaborative effort out of the offense. And why not this week? I mean, we're going up against the Commanders' defense that's towards the bottom of the league. Hopefully we can get Conklin back. We can get Wills back to shore up the O-line. Hopefully this run game that has been pretty dreadful so far with those additions can be somewhat functionable. And obviously with Nick Chubb's return imminent, that would be a positive sign. You don't want Nick Chubb coming back to a run game that is so hindered by the offensive line. So that is an important thing. Obviously, getting Njoku back would also be massive. It would help this O-line. I mean, you think about how good David Njoku is as a blocker, and it would also help Watson. It provides him with a safety blanket that he hasn't really had the last few weeks. You think about when he scrambles out, most of the time he's having to look downfield for Jerry Jeudy. With David Njoku there offering that dump off, much easier completion as a safety blanket, that should only be a positive for Deshaun Watson. And obviously, as I mentioned, with his blocking, it helps you do more things on that offensive line with the pass blocking scheme. So yeah, let's see if Amari Cooper can somewhat return to his former self. Let's see if Jerry Jeudy can carry on with the good start to the season he's had. And you pair that with a performance out of Watson that we had last week, and there's no reason that this offense shouldn't be able to score on the Commanders and win this game. So my third and final key to victory this week is, once again, don't beat yourselves. You can point to many situations in each of the Browns' losses this season where they've shot themselves in the foot. I said as one of my key to victories last week that they need to not beat themselves, and until they prove that they can win games without beating themselves, it's going to be the same every week. This is going to be on my keys to victory every single week until they address it. It's hard enough to beat an NFL team anyway, let alone when you're playing against yourselves as well. We saw more drops last week. The Cooper drop, was incredibly detrimental to this team's chances of winning that game. So we've got to shore up the mistakes. We've got to limit the penalties. We've got to limit the drops. Make sure we're catching the ball. Remember, guys, the W in the chest. Remember, catch it. Don't drop it. I'm kidding. Kind of. No, seriously, we need to clear up the mistakes. It's been one of the biggest hindrance to this team so far. Yes, the offensive struggles have not helped, but that has been almost amplified by the mistakes the team is making. You look at last week against the Raiders, the Browns had 3 drives to go and win that game, and they weren't able to get it done due to just a collection of, yes, there was some bad play on the offense, but you look at the mistakes, that they made in those, with the fumble from Jerome Ford as a great example. We've got to limit the mistakes. We've got to play a clean game this week and show that we can win games without beating ourselves. So that is my 3 keys to victory this week. Limit the Commanders' ground game and run red zone offense. A collaborative effort from the entire offense, as well as, once again, do not beat yourselves. My final thoughts heading into this game. The Browns are actually underdogs in this game, something that nobody probably would have expected before the season started. And whilst they've shown no signs of being the team that we thought they were through the first 4 games, I just can't see them playing this bad for a whole season. I do expect a bounce back game this week. It's not going to be easy. As I said, you're going up against a team that is very in form on the offensive side of the ball, a team that has scored 80 points in the previous 2 games, a team that has the clear offensive Rookie of the Year frontrunner, and a team that has only punted once since week 1. So it's not going to be easy by any means. But with all that being said, I do still believe that the Browns have a more talented roster on both sides of the ball. So if they are able to limit them same mistakes that we've seen through the 4 games, achieve the 3 keys to victory that I said, I think there is no reason why the Browns can't win this game and get back on track going forward into this season. In the end of the day, as good as the Commanders have been this year, as bad as the Browns have been this year, I still think the Browns have the better roster. And how many times in the NFL does that dictate the result of the game? So hopefully we get a bounce back game this week from the offense, from the defense, from the entire team as a whole, and kind of bring back a little bit more of a positive vibe, I suppose, going into next week. But that does it today for my Commanders preview. I will obviously be dropping a Commanders review to this game, either straight after the game on Sunday or on Monday, depending on how the game goes. Maybe I'm so angry that the last thing I want to do is get on here and record. So that will be out either Sunday or Monday. But as always, guys, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate the support that each and every single one of you show for me. As I say all the time, I'm not here to become some YouTube celebrity or something like that. I'm here because I want to talk Browns football with Browns fans. That's the only reason I'm doing this. I really want to create a community of Browns fans that I can interact with. And as I always say, if there's only one Browns fan that I get to talk to every day, I'm still happy because I'm still talking about Browns football to Browns fans. So as always, thank you so much for listening. Please check the links in the description to see where you can follow me on social media. You can see where you can support my channel. I've got TikTok, I've got Twitter, I've got Instagram, I've got all of that good stuff. So go check out the links in the descriptions to see where you can follow all of that. Again, hoping for a big Browns win this weekend. I'm expecting a big Browns win this weekend. So that's me for today, guys. Thank you so much, and go Browns.